Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. With the Prime Classic not too far around the corner, it seems some teams are being very selective indeed as to who they practice against going into these upcoming events. The OpTic guys seemingly rejecting entirely the concept of screwing Paris Legion because they just demolish them too easily every single time. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'll greatly appreciate it. Really up to the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. With some more great footage of this aBeZy Call of Duty event that went on today. Like, COD kids are honestly on another level, to be honest. Just wanted to mention this real quick. Supposedly this is a Shotzzy spot that some people have been noticing here on Tuscan. That in this kind of a top fire building, if you stand on a ledge on the left hand side here, you can actually see over into the top broken church, whatever you want to call it. This could be a spot we might see used well over the coming weeks for sure. Thought it was quite an interesting one. This is also just from Arcitys. MC, that being Cellium, and Drazah both good in the gunfight and both got scan and repair at the same time. We haven't really heard too much talk about scan and repair in this game compared to what we did last year. People I think said it's to do with like if you overclock your controller, it's something that happens more often. Maybe it's just because the game is broken, right? But I thought it was just a last year's issue with Black Ops Cold War. Apparently it's back in business once again and it's happening all the time. So hopefully no scan and repair issues on LAN, online, whatever over the coming weeks when finally we have Call of Duty back in action. Just wanted to mention this as well as we're going to dive into OpTic because Scum and the OpTic guys really happy for the OpTic Valorant team, of course. The won the International Masters event yesterday. Thought that was pretty cool. But this was of course mentioned, right? Because Valorant, the big discussion has been in comparison to Call of Duty, the fact that it's on Twitch, right? And the thing is, like, Twitch has generally been the go-to place for like big esports events. Discoverability on Twitch is always an interesting one because if you're like an up-and-coming streamer, you definitely don't want to stream on Twitch because you are just thrown all the way down there. Like, no one can ever find you effectively. YouTube is probably the best way to grow, I guess, if you're like trying to stream or something on YouTube Gaming or whatever, better than Twitch. But for big esports, like kind of cultural events like this, it makes more sense on Twitch in a way just because like you go on the front page, you see it right there. Like, it's super hard to find often the streams on YouTube and stuff like this. And of course, Valorant was using co-streaming to their advantage, right? They had all the big like personality streamers also co-streaming these grand finals to get the great viewership. And of course, also what does help here for Valorant is that you have other regions. So like at Zeta Division, they were a Japanese team, like there was huge Japanese support, louder a team from Brazil. So that's the thing, it's not just North America, Europe in like it is in Call of Duty. There's so many other regions as well. And without the viewership from those regions, like the numbers wouldn't have been this good, right? But just to go to show that there is kind of more you can do on Twitch, I think my ideal world would be to do both. Because I feel like I generally just watch the streams on YouTube because if I miss something, I can rewind and go back. And it's so much better actually as that kind of a viewer experience, in my opinion. But at least for now, Twitch is kind of the place that people go to for these big events, right? And for these big tournaments. So I feel like the deal that they currently have, maybe next year, I don't know when it comes to an end, but they might consider, like, I think the ideal world, and I'm sure the CDL makes a lot of money from this deal and that type of stuff as well. But like the ideal world, I think for us fans would be to have it on both platforms, which I'm pretty sure is what Halo are trying to do. And the CDL's also got to be looking about this and trying to get some more co-streams on the go, to be honest, with some of the Twitch guys as well, you might well imagine. This I thought was also kind of funny. Shotzzy as a, 1-0, 2-0, the World Championship. Shotzzy's hairline does it again. I think there was memes about like Nameless's hairline. Was it not a few years ago? I kind of forgot about that one, but it just came back to me. Speaking of Shotzzy though, Temp had a lot of praise for Shotzzy just a few days ago. Says pretty much the best player in the game or hardest SMG player to deal with in the entire game. But saying that unfortunately nowadays doesn't get all that much time to actually practice against them, right? He's been playing a lot of 8s on stream and stuff like this. And a few days ago there was a video that Zuma came out with, kind of story time with Temp. These videos are always good fun. And he was looking back at some of the old Black Ops 4 days when Temp was going off on the Splice team that he had back at the time and just chatting about some interesting topics in Call of Duty, to be honest. And what Temp says actually here I thought was very interesting, that back in the day, like he used to play against Shotzzy an awful lot, used to be like, wow, this guy's so good. And back on Modern Warfare, right, when Dallas Empire used to be screaming the subliners, but nowadays he barely gets any chance to play against him because the Paris Legion pretty much have got rejected by OpTic in terms of their scrim partners. Like the team seems somewhat specific on who they practice against. I kind of thought, okay, it's like whoever we can practice against, whoever we can get a scrim against, let's just play against them. Like, and I'm pretty sure also OpTic don't really like to scrim against FaZe just because they know that's kind of number 1, number 2 type dynamics, don't want to give anything away, would prefer to play them at the major. And maybe OpTic kind of have their preferred scrim partners that they like to practice against and don't really like to play the Paris Legion, maybe just because they're just way too easy to beat. So as Temp is going to go on to say here, despite the fact that actually FaZe seem to scrim Paris an awful lot, and like Paris are like, they're a decent team. It's not like they're completely terrible, but apparently OpTic have played them a couple of times this year, demolished them both times, and since then just don't play them at all anymore.
No, 100%.
And then there's certain people where all right, it's this guy, all right, well, he's gonna fly out, free kill, boom, all right, got him.
Boom, bada bing, bada boom, yay.
You gotta keep, so you know what I'm saying, it works
Who is your player? Who is that guy for you?
Who?
Was there a player that you just thought was just always like, whenever you saw his gamer tag, you just lost full? Because Cell was that guy for me.
No, I've never lost full. I have people that I feel like I could name like who's hard to play against.
That's what I mean. That's what I kind of meant. Like
in this game, in Vanguard.
Yeah.
Vanguard probably
Like,
Cell.
who's the hardest to play against?
AR Cell, and then sub will probably be
Shotzzy,
probably
right?
Shotzzy, but the subs it's more like flip flop.
Yeah, I know
Cell's the AR is always like he's really good at playing his life.
Yeah. No, he's
Optic
just
doesn't
annoying.
scrim us.
No, he
Optic
plays
doesn't
weird
scrim us,
spots
so.
too. He plays weird spots. Optic doesn't scrim you?
Nah, they think
Why?
we're dust. They just
Wait,
see
dead
that.
ass? They just don't even scrim. They don't even like show you guys love. No
I
respect.
mean, they've played us before and they've demolished us, so I get it to be honest.
okay.
But I just don't got a lot of playtime versus them, you know.
I didn't think it was like that though. I thought like every team played every team.
We play FaZe plays us a lot.
FaZe plays you guys a lot.
Yeah, a good amount.
Okay, so maybe who's Optic?
just
Is Optic playing the same teams every day? Like, who they
Optic
playing?
are like bullying Thieves or something. I don't know. I feel like Optic's got to be playing like Thieves a lot. Like we play FaZe.
So this is the tweet. This is one of the first examples of this tweet I saw here from Rambo. Like, he still has this quote actually in his bio to this day. Winning is teaching, losing is learning. He absolutely loves this one. And well, he said this back in 2011. Winning is teaching, losing is learning. I'll never say this enough. So the idea, I suppose, being that if you're just demolishing a team again and again, like last year, I don't know how specific the OpTic guys were, because I'm pretty sure Sender like schedule all their practice and stuff like this. Pretty sure the way it works, I'm guessing there's like a Google Sheets or something, or however the pros exactly do it. But the coaches talk to each other, say, okay, we'll scrim you here, get a scrim scheduled in for this date, and that's how they do it. Now, seemingly the Paris are effectively blacklisted by OpTic, not because of they broke GAs or whatever, but just because they're just too bad, which is kind of frustrating, I'm sure, for those guys in a way, because I'm sure like Paris and Tem wants to get good practice against OpTic. They still seem to practice against FaZe though, so I guess they get that element of it. But it is interesting, right? Because if you're OpTic and for some reason you just match up very well against the Paris team, like maybe FaZe have a harder time with Paris, or they just kind of find that the way they play on certain maps proves to be pretty good practice for them. But the OpTic guys just seem to blow them out of the water every single time, and therefore they're like, look, we're not going to give you anything, right? We're not just going to help you improve by practicing against you. We'd prefer to practice against teams that we actually kind of go toe-to-toe against and practice a fair bit. He also mentioned like Los Angeles Thieves. He reckons the OpTic guys scrimming up against them a lot. Like we've seen kind of Octane talking recently as well, the fact that yes, they do play OpTic and FaZe a fair bit, Los Angeles Thieves, even though they kind of get demolished in that situation as well. It's kind of interesting. If you are OpTic, you don't necessarily want to be losing your scrims, but at the same time, you don't want to win everything, right? Because there is kind of a confidence thing as well. And let's say you play Paris, OpTic match up very well against Paris, as Temp seems to believe. Obviously, the weakest team in the league, if you look at the standings and stuff like that. And let's say they just demolish them in the scrim set. Like, OpTic might get somewhat overconfident as a result, right? If you go into these scrims, you're just 8-0ing them. You're not going to try too hard. Like, you're going to take your focus off, take your foot off the gas to a degree. Like, I'm not fully focusing in. If you're playing a team that's putting up a challenge against you every single time, then I guess that's going to give you better practice, right? Especially in certain situations. Like, I'm sure Rambo's really dialed into, like, every single practice session. What exactly are we working on here? Like, okay, we're going to work on this rotation from P3 to P4 on this particular map. And maybe, like, the players' heads kind of get out of the game a little bit if they're just smoking a team again and again. I'm not sure Paris are bad enough to the point that you could just smoke them like an amateur squad, but, you know, so I thought it was quite interesting that OpTic seem to avoid them like the plague to make sure, I guess, they don't teach them too much, but also because maybe they don't feel like they're learning anything from those scrims. Definitely intrigued to get your perspective on that one in the comment section below. Let's talk about this then. So as Octane says, unpopular opinion, ban and retake was amazing, bring it that back. Definitely wanted to talk about this. I made probably at least one video, like specifically diving into this topic a good couple of years ago. I kind of want to give some similar opinions here because like Octane is not right in my opinion. He says it's an unpopular opinion. I do respect the fact that he says it's unpopular. He probably is unpopular if you guys actually saw this back in the day. I think he does have a point there. Like there are some good elements of ban and protect, but I just think the way it's executed was poor and like it needs to be executed in a better way. And if it is executed better with some better variety, it actually could be a good thing for competitive. So let's talk about exactly how this works. If you guys are unfamiliar with this or haven't been around a few years, in Black Ops 3 competitive, there was a system called ban and protect. The idea was when Trek introduced this, that it would just replace all needs for any rule set at all. The idea, literally, their plan was, I'm pretty sure, to have, and this was the case at the start of the game, no UAVs, there was no bans for any UAVs, counter UAVs, like any, it was all free game. Like, you could use anything, awareness, sixth sense, everything was fine, tracker, but you know, you could ban and protect it, right? And that was kind of Trek's idea. Turns out though, that you need some base bans, like UAV has to be gone, these other things have to be gone. Arguably, this game would have been much better and ban and protect would have played much better if there were more base bans. You can see right here in this particular series, high caliber actually isn't banned here, but pretty much every single time in regular league play games, high caliber would be banned, rapid fire would be banned, the HDXT would be banned, overclock would be banned, like the frag grenade, maybe stun grenades, like this type of stuff would be gone. Like usually the teams, like 6 out of the 8 things that were banned were just gone every single time. And each player got to go through and like select something effectively, and you could protect protect it before the other team could ban it, but really no one did protections because like it kind of waste of a point effectively when you can get rid of stuff. Now, one of the key problems with this, for example, in Arena, which was the league play system, is that it just took way too long, right? If you tried to load into Arena, by the time you got through the entirety of ban and protect, like it would just, the game would be so far gone, like it'd be so late, and someone probably would have just left, to be honest. So it took way too long. Like, my position is on this, that each team, maybe it works better to have each team allowed to have 1 or 2 bans per team, and then before the series you kind of just decide, or however it's going to work, but there should be more base bans in this than my opinion. Like, rapid fire should have been gone anyway, overclock, this type of stuff. Just ban the stuff anyway that always gets banned, and then just allow the teams to have like 1 or 2 bans per game. The problem is also, though, that it is reliant on the teams actually, like the game actually being viable in this sense, because in this game, with Gunsmith or whatever, with a million attachments, like you can ban one specific quick draw attachment, but also have another quick draw attachment. Like, it's a bit of a mess. And also, I think the key issue for this was, like, it gave you some really nice ideas in theory. Like, okay, let's say you're playing a team that's really good with the Man of War or something. You can ban the Man of War, take them away from the Man of War. I think even Killer used to protect it, because he used to love that gun when he was on, like, Dream Team and stuff like this in that game, if you guys remember those days. But something like, you could ban different weapons if players were particularly good. Like, often the M8 might get banned in, I'm pretty sure Splice banned the M8 against Envy in the grand finals of champs, and they used the XR2 to pretty good effect, the 3-round burst instead. So it definitely created some interesting dynamics. The problem was, though, you could ban some really stupid stuff. As Method says right here, you could ban quick draw, you could ban stock, like you could make the gameplay very different. Afterburner, I think, was the most annoying one. Like, often Ake's team, they maybe didn't have the greatest movement. What they would do is ban Afterburner, which is basically like the perk that allows your jetpack to regenerate quicker, effectively kind of like lightweight, but really, really strong. And also Blast Suppressor, which meant that every time you boosted anywhere, you got shown on the map. Like, they could ban, I think they would often ban Afterburner and Blast Suppressor, and then the other team they're playing against, they might have great movements. You're just playing a completely different game. You can do nowhere near the same wall runs. The movement is entirely different when you don't have Afterburner. Like, you have to be really careful on your boosting. Like, the game is entirely different to what you practice with in like scrims and stuff in the actual game itself. So it was an interesting one. As Marky V even says, definitely added another layer. Loved a good stock ban. I'm pretty sure they used to get rid of stock and stuff against some North American teams, because it just really changed how assault rifles had to play. But it's really tough. Like, how do you practice when the game you play itself can be so different, and you've got stock is gone, quick draw's gone, like all these attachments can get banned, right? So I think the way to do this, I like the idea of ban and protect in theory. I think it's a cool concept. It does allow like, pick bans and stuff of agents in like League of Legends, like the draft they do in League of Legends is always kind of interesting. But to me, I think there should be some things that are banned like by default and guaranteed. I think there's probably more of those than maybe there has been, for example, in Black Ops 3. But also some things probably shouldn't be able to be touched. Like, I don't know if quick draw and stock should be able to be touched. Like, let's say we go back to a traditional game where there's not like 17 different variations of quick draw. Like, maybe quick draw as an attachment shouldn't be able to get gone, but it's more like weapons that can get gone. Or maybe you ban the frag grenade and they have to use the Semtex or something. I don't know. Like, there's some strategy that can go into it. But to me, ban and protect was just a bit of a mess. Definitely intriguing your perspective on this, though, in the comment section below. And just to finish out with this also, because we mentioned yesterday a tweet that came out from Ralph's Valve saying that they're doing a playtest of the new Modern Warfare 2 game in Los Angeles. And well, as Method says, and I'm pretty sure Zoom was also implied, some pros are flying out to LA for a couple of days. So I believe that a lot of pros are actually going to playtest the new game over these coming days. So pretty exciting stuff, but very much intrigued to your thoughts and all this in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit a like button. Tell us the YouTube gods, this is a good video. I just like you should see it as well. And hope grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you as always, take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.